All right, everybody, we are back again for this next edition of the Rubio Sports Podcast on this October 30th, 2014, day before Nevada Day, because nobody cares about Halloween here. I've ran into so many people in the last couple of days, I kid you not, that has said, I can't wait to celebrate Nevada Day. How do you celebrate Nevada Day?
Yeah, I don't know.
How old is Nevada now?
150?
Yeah, I was saying.
Yeah. Then I guess there is cause for celebration. Okay.
No, there's not.
Hey, we have passed the 13th Amendment.
Yes.
We deserve a party.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks for joining us, guys. Get your sports fix in before you engorge on a bunch of chocolate. If you're going trick or treating, or if you're too old for that, let's hope you scare the kids like I will tomorrow. But thanks for joining us, guys. I'm the sports editor, Danny Webster. Joined by senior staff writers Jordan Aguilar and Randy Famers. Jesse Granger is not here, so it'll just be the three of us going at it today, talking the things we usually talk about. And we got to start with UNLV football, which I don't understand why we have to talk about a team that looked terrible to a fourth-string quarterback, guys. But that is what UNLV did. There were so many chances in this game. Utah State's third-string quarterback, Craig Harrison, gets hurt. They bring on the fourth-string quarterback. UNLV's got a chance. They're like, hey, Utah State is begging for us to get back into this game. And then on a 3rd and 15, what you would describe as a Hail Mary is probably the worst Hail Mary you've ever seen. But Utah State comes down with it. UNLV can't recover, and UNLV lost 34-20. UNLV now 2-6, 1-2 in the 1-3 in the conference, I should say. Pretty much the season is now a wrap. There's no way UNLV. The bowl eligibility math is probably way gone, but UNLV now 2-6, 1-3. Take on New Mexico this weekend, coming home and get New Mexico, a very struggling New Mexico team, probably the second worst team in the conference behind UNLV. So, guys, first thoughts on this game. UNLV was right there. They just could not execute in the second half.
It seems like most of these games, they're in a good spot heading into halftime.
And they didn't even score on the first drive of the game.
No, they didn't. Finally. But it seems, I don't know what happens at halftime, but they come out and they just unravel. We saw it against Houston. We saw it against, even Arizona. That was
close first half.
So close first half. And this second half, it wasn't, Utah State didn't completely dominate UNLV, but UNLV just seemed to come unraveled. They just they couldn't run the ball, 15 yards running. Third downs, I've been talking about all year. They went 3 for 16. And you're right. They were in a good spot. Fourth string quarterback. Wasn't he a red shirt? Was it?
Yeah, he had the red shirt on and then had it taken off of him because Harrison got hurt.
Utah State is giving you this game on the road in a hostile environment, and the second half they just came out flat. Scored a touchdown late to get us all excited, but that was about it.
Yeah.
Can we blame it on anything else but the offensive line?
You could, yeah.
Can you?
You could, yeah.
You can? 27 rushes for 15 net yards was UNLV's final stats for the game. 27 rushes. Let me say it one more time. 27 rushes for 15 yards as a team.
Yeah.
Blake Decker is sacked 6 times.
And that was even, they abandoned the running game in the second half. I think they ran it like 5 times the entire second half.
Who do you want to blame? How you can't blame it on the defense. They're out there all the time. They're out there for the majority of the freaking game.
They played really well.
For the most part, yeah.
For the most part, yeah.
You have an offensive line that, albeit was a little banged up here and there, but it was supposed to be the anchor of this entire team.
Mm-hmm.
And they are awful. Awful. They're so bad. And yeah, Utah State's notoriously had a pretty good defense, but their defense this year is nowhere near it was the last few years.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to talk about. 15 rush yards for the game.
And should we add Blake Decker led the team in carries once again?
Yeah.
As your quarterback?
Well, he rushed over 49 yards, but his 6 sacks combined were a loss of 53.
So he probably would have had over 100 yards rushing.
-4 net yard gain. So I'm saying, it's the offensive line. What's going on? Something has to be going on. They cannot have a season like they did last year and then be this god-awful in games. Something's got to give.
Well, coming into the season, we thought that line was going to be.
That's what I'm saying. It was going to be the anchor.
You had two preseason conference selections, all conference selections.
Yeah,
on
but
that
then
line.
you lose Cameron
drank
Jefferson.
that juice a little too quickly.
Cameron Jefferson, I think, is probably the
debacle
most.
with Ron Scoggins, and then you just things just fall apart. And
Brett Boyko.
Exactly.
Brett Boyko will be the number 1 pick in the Canadian Football League draft.
And even when things go good, they go bad. They score a touchdown with 4 seconds left in the half. You know, you get some momentum. You're hopefully going to go down by 3, and you get the PAT block.
Yeah.
It's just you can't.
And then Utah State gets the ball to start the half, I believe.
Yeah.
I could be mistaken, but then Utah State drives down the field with that first drive, and they're forced to punt, and they run the stupidest fake punt I've ever seen. They gave Bobby Howard a run for their money for the worst fake punt call of all time.
Yeah.
This one was absolutely stupid, and Utah State is pretty much telling UNLV, come take this game from us. We have no shot.
Yeah.
And UNLV just laid an egg in that second half. It is amazing. They could not move the ball pretty much for the entire third quarter. And then when UNLV has a chance to get back into this game, after three straight 3-and-outs, or pretty close to it, Utah State gets the ball back, runs a ridiculous bubble screen, and takes it all the way untouched for a touchdown.
Yeah, I think
that was the killer. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you can't really blame the defense, but also bad tackling, bad reaction. But like you said, they were on the field pretty much that entire second half. The offense could not move the football at all. And kind of go back to this running game, though, and we talked about it before, Blake Decker should not be your leading rusher, and it's really sad.
Game in and game out.
And I mean this is a really good Utah State defense. I think a lot of people were overlooking that going in. Utah State's defense is really good. But for some odd reason, to only give Keith Whiteley the ball 7 times, I know he's not running the ball well and he ain't running the ball against that defense, but when you become one-dimensional, Blake Decker is going to get killed, and he got killed in that second half.
He outrushed both running backs combined.
Yeah, Shaq
had
already
3.
had 3 carries.
And Whiteley had 7. Decker had 17.
Yeah.
Now, not all of those can be because he was feeling pressure. I'm sure some of those he just ran out of the pocket and then took off, which he needs to work on himself. But, I mean, it just seems like there's no... I mean, the only bright spot on this team has been Devontae Boyd week in and week out.
Yes.
But he's overlooked because the whole team is playing terribly. And it starts with that offensive line. When Devontae Davis comes back, I don't know if it's going to make that much of a difference. I mean, Boyd had 6 for 128 or whatever it was, 6 for 130, and he's completely overlooked because no one can do anything else on the field. You know, Devontae Davis comes back, so now you have 200 receivers, but you're still putting up 13 points a game. It starts with getting the quarterback protection, then it starts with the quarterback making the right decisions. And on offense, this team is completely inept. It's terrible.
It's just amazing. It just boggles my mind that they gave up on the running game so easily in the second half.
Completely.
I mean, like I said, I know Utah State's front 7 is really good, and they gave UNLV problems with the run game in the first half. But don't go one-dimensional when you have a chance to win this game. UNLV, I'm just baffled. They had a chance. They literally had a chance. Utah State gave them this game. It was a 17-13 game at halftime.
Yeah.
And after that terrible fake punt by Utah State, UNLV has everything going their way. And it just slips right through their hands. And now UNLV's bowl chances are about as slim could be. They would have to win out. They're not going to win out because if anybody's going to sit here and tell me that they're going into BYU and at least beating BYU, no, that ain't happening.
They were 3 of 16 on third down, so more points. Another point that the offense can't do anything.
That's another thing when you go one dimensional. If you can't complete your passes,
3 of 16 on third down.
3 of 16 on third down.
And their time of possession, like we talked about, the game is 60 minutes long. They had the ball for 25.
Yeah,
you got to help. You got to help your defense out. You got to stay on the field a little bit.
And especially you need to help that defense that's at a goal line stop on the first possession of the game for Utah State, who pretty much kept Utah State at the end zone for the majority of the game. You've got to reward that defense with some plays. Yeah. UNLV should have won this game. They just let it get away. And for some reason, you would think that after last year, this team would have learned if you have an opportunity to take advantage of it. They did not take advantage of any opportunity.
At all.
So now we have to think about going into the future. UNLV's probably not going to be bowl eligible. It would have to be a miracle.
Probably,
yes. More than likely they will not be.
Yeah.
Definitely not. That's the word I'm looking for. But pretty much Ball Bowl hopes are gone. The only game that will matter now from this point on is the Reno game, which is a month from a couple days ago. So UNLV goes back home, 2 winnable games at home against New Mexico and Air Force. But New Mexico is this week, 2:30 kickoff time at Sam Boyd Stadium. If UNLV does not win, we can't even say that. UNLV should win this game. People are already pegging the favorites, even though it's like a point difference.
Yeah, I didn't even see the line.
Yeah, I think last I checked was 1 point. So this will be a pick 'em by Saturday. But UNLV against New Mexico, who in New Mexico we've known has probably been one of the bottom feeders of this conference for a long time. So at least, if anything, UNLV's back home. They got an easy opponent. They should win this game. All right.
I hope so. I mean, I really don't know what to make of this team anymore. I don't know which team is going to show up. I don't know what team is going to play well. Our offense should be able, especially if Devontae Davis is back, there's no way that you can't just beat Air Force over the top with Boyd and Davis on either side.
Yeah.
So I think we have a clear matchup there. I don't even know if we can run the ball because our offensive line can't block anybody. And if we're not able to stay on the field, New Mexico might literally rush for 600 yards against us. Literally 600 yards.
That wouldn't surprise me.
That's what I'm saying.
The good news is New Mexico can't pass. So you know New Mexico is going to be a one-dimensional type.
Well, we thought that last year when they played too. New Mexico jumped out quickly to that lead by us selling out on the run and then beating us over the top. That happened quite a few times in that game. And that was a way better UNLV team.
Yes, it was.
So, I don't know. I'm not optimistic for this weekend at all. I hope they can get a home win, a home conference win against a team that, they definitely should beat.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not so sure.
I mean, we'd be more confident if they had won last week. If they won last week, we feel more confident that this team should go in back home and dominate New Mexico.
UNLV should win. Like we said, they should. But like I said, going back to last year, they got down 21-0 real quick, and they came back, but that was a much better team. If UNLV gets down like that this year, I can't see them getting anywhere close to catching that lead again. Also, like we said, how teams have beaten UNLV this year is they've run the ball down their throat. New Mexico's the 5th leading team in the country in rushing offense. And they run...
Do me a quick thing. Where's Air Force on that list?
Air Force is at 11.
Okay. I would have thought it'd be rather closer.
So we expect a heavy dose of the run. Even if, like you said, last year they came out with the pass, I don't just watching tape on UNLV this year, you just can run the ball down the throat. And like you said, the offense is going to be very important because if that defense is on the field for 30, 35 minutes again, like they were last week, this might be New Mexico might score 50 on them.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I agree.
Yeah. I was going to say this. New Mexico might be one of the bottom feeders, but I had forgotten. They've actually played teams really tough. They played San Diego State to only a 10-point loss. It was 24-14, and that was at New Mexico. But they beat UTSA, which is one of the rising teams in this country. They had a chance to contend in the Conference USA, but Marshall's running away with that. And then they also played Fresno State tough at home. So, I mean, I guess 2 games against, teams that are supposed to win this conference, you play them tough. I mean, that gives you some optimism because New Mexico has not been good for a long time. So UNLV cannot overlook this team. They have played teams tough.
They score a lot.
They score a lot, yeah.
24, 23, 38, 24, 21, 14, and 31. So they're
It's
scoring.
sad that we're saying 21 points is scoring a lot. That shows how bad UNLV's offenses looked.
So
Because if they score 20 points, it's like a party for UNLV. The way they've been scoring the football.
Yeah.
I was surprised they even got to 20.
Yeah, UNLV is going to have to figure out how to stop this run, and they have to put together, even though they won't, they have to put together some sort of time-consuming drives.
Yes.
If looking at them recently, they're going to want to go like this,
Yeah.
And that just, they can't do it because they can't move the ball quick enough, and they don't give their defense enough time to
They
rest.
want to be worried. Like a lot of teams want to go with this high up tempo, and this is a quicker offense than it was last year. Last year, UNLV kind of went in a no huddle spread type offense, but at least they took some time off the clock. This offense is like much more quicker, a lot better, higher tempo, I should say. So when you play fast and you can't establish a running game, and you expect Decker to throw, this offense is not built for that. It has not been built for that.
And it's not playing fast and scoring. It's
playing fast, turning the ball over, and going one-dimensional.
Yeah.
And that is what Utah State took advantage of last week. They sent 6-7-man blitzes before Decker had any time to react. He was already on the ground.
Yeah.
And he got banged up on Saturday, so who knows how his health is going into this weekend.
It's because he runs too damn much.
That too. He got killed by
He did.
that. There was this one.
Talking about the first half?
No, second half.
Oh, in the first half he got smoked.
He got smoked in the first half too. In the second half, though, there was one play I remember distinctively. He ran. It was a third down and 8 play. Of course, UNLV didn't convert it, but he ran he rolled out to the left, and I can't remember who the Utah State linebacker is. Number 5. He reacted to that so quickly. Decker didn't have time to throw the ball away or find a receiver that he could throw it to. Utah State's defense is smart and it is tough. And when you're hanging around and you need to make plays, you cannot be one-dimensional like that.
Yeah.
So UNLV needs to establish a running game this week if they have a chance to beat New Mexico, and that's sad to say. It's sad to say. So predictions, guys, for this weekend?
I'm not.
Does it even matter?
I'm not confident in UNLV at all. I think New Mexico's going to run it and score. I got 31-17 New Mexico.
Wow.
Oofa.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give UNLV the benefit of the doubt that New Mexico's defense is that bad, and I think they can score. But I think it's going to be like last year's game. I think it's going to be a shootout. Maybe not as high scoring, but a shootout. I'm going to go 38-34.
Which was about the score about a couple of years ago. No,
Yeah.
actually, no, it was 35-7 UNLV.
Yeah. No, I'm going to go 38-34, and I'm going to go with UNLV, even though I don't feel confident about it.
Yeah, UNLV should win this game and should win it by at least 10 to 14 points. So I'll say 35-21. Like, I think it's at home. UNLV has played much better at home, even though you have no home field advantage at Sam Boyd Stadium whatsoever. You should win this game. You're in your comfort zone. Just take care of Air Force next week. Take care of New Mexico this week. And we're right back where we started before they go to BYU and probably just get destroyed.
Dismantled.
They will get destroyed. Well, that's for 3 weeks from now. UNLV and New Mexico again, 2:30 kickoff time at Sam Boyd Stadium. I do not know if this is on TV.
So this is a day game.
Yeah, Jesse.
This is a day game. Oh my goodness.
No, it's not on TV. I don't think so.
It's not on TV? Good.
Yeah.
It's probably on ESPN News for the 13,000th time. By the way, ESPN News, if I haven't elaborated this earlier, stop showing football games on your channel. Okay. All right, let's move on, guys. Let's talk about men's soccer. And UNLV, they've been on a roll. We know this. And they had a tough road trip going into Texas this past weekend, Randy. And UNLV pretty much needed to win against two teams. Or not, well, Incarnate Ward mainly. Houston Baptist was kind of probably one of those trap games that we've thought about.
They almost
The
succumbed
majority
to
of
it,
it.
too.
And they almost did. But UNLV, once again, rising to the occasion, beat both Incarnate Ward and Houston Baptist last week. 12-3-1 overall, 6-1 conference play. They were inches away from clinching the regular season WAC title.
They really are. It's really exciting. Incarnate Word has been absolutely horrendous when the season started, and for some reason they hit conference play and they have just been on it. They're 5-1 right now in conference. Their lone loss to UNLV, who is now 6-1 in conference after beating them and Houston Baptist. UNLV has a chance, and I'm not even sure the last time the Rebels won the WAC was because I was saving that for next week's show.
I don't think
Once-
UNLV has ever won the WAC.
I mean, no, well, I shouldn't say the WAC. Their conference,
any conference,
in,
yeah.
in
They
soccer.
They were in the Mountain Pacific.
Yes, and then they were in the WAC before that. But this weekend, Nevada Day tomorrow night and Senior Night on Sunday could clinch a conference title for UNLV, depending on what happens to Incarnate Word. They have Bakersfield on Friday, and then play
San
Jose State on Sunday. 2 winnable games. 2 teams that are at the bottom of the conference standings. And it doesn't seem like there's any kind of trap because next week they play Grand Canyon, which they should roll over. if UNLV can finish if UNLV can win these 2 games against Bakersfield and San Jose State, and Incarnate Word, oh my God, why can't I not say the damn team?
Incarnate Word
loses both of their games, then UNLV, points-wise, will be your WAC champions, regular season champions.
And clinch the 1 seed.
And clinch the 1 seed in the tournament, which gives you a first-round bye. So, I mean, this is a big weekend for the team, and everything is starting to click like it should have been after the Irvine loss. Bernal's scoring. Musafsi's scoring. Ryan Harding's playing great in goal. Kyle Melly's in that back line is playing excellent defense. They're scoring out of set pieces. They're scoring on breakaway pieces. They're scoring any which way they want to score. And it's really exciting. I mean, they have no reason to not run the table, finish the year 15-3-1, and be your regular season Western Athletic Conference champs.
That'd be huge, especially like we talked about before, where this program was a few years ago and what Rich Ryerson has done. The fact that they're a couple games away from actually winning a regular season conference title, have a good chance to make a run in the WAC tournament, and then not only that, then we started thinking about what if in the NCAA tournament. So a lot of good things happening right now in terms of men's soccer. But I actually want to talk about that Houston Baptist game real quick. We've been talking about it a lot this year. There's trap games that UNLV seems to fall themselves into. After a big time win, you kind of fall back and they play too comfortable. I guess would be the way to put it, too complacent. Well, after you beat Incarnate Ward, which is the only team pretty much left contending for that number 1 seed in that regular season conference championship, we play against Houston Baptist, who's one of the worst teams in the conference. And they give up 2 first-half goals and have to score all 3 in the second half, capped off with a Connor Coletti 86-minute goal.
Yeah.
So
they were down 2-0 for the second time this season.
Yeah.
Obviously, as expected, Sal Bernal started the scoring off, started the rally. In the 60th minute, he scored. Kyle Mellies then scored a little bit after that in the 63rd. So right after that, scored to tie it up at 2. And then, as you said, Coletti in the 86th gave him the lead and the win. That was a game where UNLV would normally stumble after playing an opponent who record-wise doesn't look that great, but is the second best team in the conference. Has the same record of you first place on the line. UNLV's won all of those games this year except the Irvine game. They've won every big game they've been in. And after every big game they've been in, they've lost or tied. And they were about to go down again to Houston Baptist, which would have really hurt their chances to win the WAC. But they pulled it out in the second half. Defense tightened up. Harding stepped up. All the players stepped up. And they pulled out that 3-2 victory. And now they're on the inside track. They're 1 game ahead of Incarnate Word. And they have 3 games left. Incarnate Word has 4 games left. So we'll see how it plays out and how it shakes out. But once they get to that WAC tournament, anything can happen. They just can't have a big letdown in the first round. I guess it would be the second round because they have a bye. But this team has all the makings to do something special. I mean, they can play with the big boys. They've shown that. And I mean big boys, both physically big and, as I say big boys, as in like UCLA, North Carolina, Notre Dame, Washington. They can play with those guys. They have played with those guys. So it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be really interesting. Especially when you have Musafsi, who's a freshman, whose confidence is just soaring right now through the roof. You have Bernal, who's a senior, the Wiley veteran. Harding, same way. Rodrigo Fuentes has been scoring a lot lately. He scored in the UIW game. So, I mean, he's coming on, and he was a big, big factor last season in UNLV's offensive success. So, they're scary. They're scary. They really are. Yeah. And Ryerson has their head in the right place.
Yeah. And another big thing for that Houston Baptist game, because it's amazing how you could fall 2-0 behind to such a bad team. This is how that happened. Houston Baptist had 12 shots in the first half. UNLV only had 6. How do you respond to that in the second half? UNLV had 18 shots in the second half. 24 shots in total. Houston Baptist only had 5.
Yeah.
So huge adjustment in the second half in terms of the back line and Ryan Harding, who had a terrible first half. And then come back with 18 shots and keep Houston Baptist with only 5. And then Houston Baptist got a red card in the 86th minute,
Mm-hmm.
in the 83rd minute, I should say. So that was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've had those second half adjustments all season long. most recently in the Air Force game. Ryerson sees that if they're not playing right, that an adjustment needs to be made, and he makes sure that they know what that adjustment needs to be when they go in the locker room for halftime. And he's a really good coach when it comes to stuff like that. He's really good at getting the most out of his players. He may not be the best X's and O's guy, to borrow a football term, but
Yeah.
he's really good at getting everything out of his players that he can, and that's a big reason of their success.
Right. Well, they got Bakersfield, as you mentioned, on Friday, and Bakersfield
Started the season very well.
They did, and now for the last 4 games, I should say, they're on a 4-game losing streak right now. Lost to Air Force 4-2, and then lost to Incarnate Ward and Houston Baptist at home.
Yeah.
At home, they lost to Incarnate Ward and Houston Baptist, and then they lost to San Jose State 2-0 the other day. So big opportunity for UNLV to kind of put the nail in the coffin in Bakersfield's season and inch closer to that regular season title.
Could have 24 points going into the final weekend. That'd be huge.
That is amazing. and there was before we move on, there was one thing that I saw last night that was tweeted out. And I don't know if you had mentioned this. You probably have to let me know if you did. UNLV, with 12 wins on the year, they're only 1 win behind the nation's leader in wins. I believe that's Syracuse.
Mm-hmm. And they're second also in the nation in total goals with 37.
Amazing.
Yeah. They can score, man. They can score with the best of them. I'm telling you. That's why I don't think they're going to be intimidated if they make it into the tournament, to the big tournament. I mean, the WAC tournament comes first, but if they get in the NCAA tournament, they can be a team to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and you imagine if they beat a UMKC team that wasn't so good, they'd be undefeated in conference play right now.
No, there's 2 games. They should be 14-1, 15-1 right now. To be honest,
Yeah.
They should have never lost to Detroit. They should have never lost to UMKC, and they should have never lost to Gonzaga.
Right. But UNLV winners of the last 7 of their last 8. 3 games left. Final home games of the year against Bakersfield and San Jose State close out the year in Grand Canyon. Huge chance for UNLV to,
Yeah.
like I said, huge change from last year. We thought UNLV made a huge leap, and we figured they'd take a bigger step this year. Didn't think it'd be this big. So they're playing really well. I think if they do have Coach of the Year nominations, which I'm presuming they do for men's soccer and whatnot, Rich Ryerson has to be at the top of the list. Has to be. This is probably his most masterful coaching job he's ever had.
Well, not probably. Definitely.
It is, yeah.
100%.
All right, well, like I said, the Bakersfield game is at 7 o'clock on Friday at Peter Young Memorial Field, and then the San Jose State game is at 1 o'clock on Sunday. And then the
Get out there and support. It's been a really good crowd the last few weeks. The Air Force game was the most packed I've seen Peter Young Memorial Field since covering the soccer game,
Really?
or the soccer team. I'm sure the Irvine game was just as packed because it was a nationally ranked team. But it's a cool atmosphere. There's tons of stuff to do out there. It's kid friendly. It's free if you have your Rebel card. It's I think $6 if you don't. It's really cheap tickets. So get out there and support them. This is the only team UNLV has right now that's on the national scene.
Yeah.
So until basketball starts, so
Right.
Get out there and support them. It's going to be a good game. It's a great atmosphere, and it's beautiful weather right now. So
Too hot weather, but beautiful weather.
at 7 at night though, it's nice.
That is true.
At 7 at night,
I
it's
will
nice.
go with
It
that.
cools down.
I will go with that. All right. Well, 7 o'clock is the Bakersfield game at Peter Young Memorial Field for your. Are they still receiving votes? Did you talk about?
Yeah, they skid after the UMKC loss. They skid down to
30.
the 4th team out of the top
Okay.
25. But I haven't checked the NSCAA standings as of yesterday, so that's something that we can check while we start on women's soccer.
All right.
If you'd like.
Well, let's go ahead and transition over to that. And women's soccer, Jordan, as we move on. The season is almost at its end. They had a chance at the beginning of the conference season, but now they kind of seem to fall off. Went up to Logan and beat Utah State, which was very impressive, but then they lost at home to Boise State. And this team, for some reason, cannot win at home. This is kind of like the polar opposite of men's soccer right now. They
Yeah,
cannot
it's
win at
weird.
home.
When I talked to Coach a few weeks ago, had these final 5 games, he talked about how he could see him getting at least 3 of them. So they got that chance, but with that win at Utah State, it helped them. I was looking at the standings. I'm pretty sure they're out of it. They sit in the 9th spot with 12 points. But if they get the win, they'll be tied with Boise if Boise loses. But I'm pretty sure Boise would have the tiebreaker.
Boise would because they have the head-to-head tiebreaker.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure they're done, but you get Nevada at the end of the schedule. Everyone's going to be excited for that.
Because it's all about the Governor's
Exactly.
Series.
But yeah, they went up to Utah State. This weekend was actually the first time they've been outshot in back-to-back games. Went up to Utah State, were outshot 13-6. Only 2 shots on goal. But Denali added a goal in the second half. It's her 4th goal of the year. They had a good win on the road. Like we see, they responded well on the road this year. They had that long road stretch. That was easily the best they played all year. So for a young team, inexperienced team, they seem to know how to play on the road. Then we come back. We talked about Boise State. They were coming off a big win against San Diego State. This was a team who's played well at times. Came out and they just had UNLV on the ropes the whole time. Boise State got off 18 shots. UNLV only got off 6. It was a long day for UNLV. Gave up a goal in the first half, gave up a goal in the second half. Just were never really in it from the get-go. So now they get a chance to go up to Reno, to the rival, and Reno sits in last place conference. This is not a very good team. Not a very good team at all. When we talk about bad, I mean, there's a significant drop-off in the Mountain West from the 11th team to the 12th team. No, I wouldn't say that.
That's a pretty heavy drop-off.
From the 9th team to the bottom 3, there's this pretty significant drop-off. And Reno's right at the bottom of all of them. Like, really bad.
Yeah, I feel like we got Jordan Stack on.
All right, so Reno, they sit at 4-14-1. They're 1-9 in the conference. For conference, they've lost 7 in a row.
Lost 7 in a row in conference.
They've lost 7 in a row in the conference. In that losing streak, they've been outscored 19-3.
Holy cow!
In their last 5 games, they've been shut out.
Wow.
That's almost 3 goals a game.
They've been outscored in Mountain West play this year, 24-4. They've been shut out 11 times this year.
Holy cow!
And on the season, they've been outscored 47-11.
Who's this, Reno?
Reno.
Oh my!
Makes me feel good.
So when I say this team's bad, they're pretty bad.
Oh my goodness!
But they're going to be fired up. We'd be fired up. Hopefully it'd be on the road. It's a night game. It's Friday night. It's a big rivalry. I don't know. And girls are intense, so it's probably pretty intense up in Reno. It's high altitude up there, so that could affect them. But no, they get a chance to finish the year with 10 wins, get to 5 wins in the conference. It'd be a good momentum booster to end the season, although they're not going to make it to any postseason play. They can finish at 10-8-1, finish 5-6 in the conference with a young team, like I said, 22 freshmen and sophomores.
I was gonna say it's always good to get to double-digit wins too. If you're in your first season,
First
you're
year.
winning more games than you're losing. When it comes to women's soccer,
This
20-game season, you won 10 of them.
Chris Shaw's first year, like I said, first year Division I. He's been assistant in Fresno, North Carolina State, but he's been a head coach at small schools on the East Coast. So, in his first year's Division I, to get him 10 wins would be huge for them. Like I said, they lose 1 senior this year, and they get a lot of talent back. They get a lot of players back. So we'll see. Hopefully they can finish off the year with this win. It'd be nice to be like a 3-0, 2-0 win just to get it to Reno and get that Governor's Cup that Danny wants.
Oh yeah, totally.
No, we'll see.
I want the Governor's Series more than I want Jack in the Box titles.
It's an interesting year for this team. Like I said, they started off great, 7-3-1. Conference play came, and we all know conference play is obviously different. Mount West was tough for them. Especially, like Danny said, that hopefully they figure out their home because, like I said, they've been a lot more successful on the road this year. But no, young team. I wouldn't say it was a successful year. Like I said, I think they were picked to finish 7th in this conference, and it's right about where they'll be. They sit at 12 points, and 7 and 8 both have 13. So it's right around where the Preseason thought they would finish, but no, like we saw some play. Denali, she led the team in scoring this year after she missed the whole season last year. You lose one of your best players with Susie. You got a freshman goalie, so that they dealt with some things this year, and next year they just got to find, like I said, they got to find a scorer. They got to find someone who's going to step up and score, because in every game they lost this year, they've been shut out in every single one of those games, which is a weird stat to not even get one goal. But no, hopefully they can finish the season on a high against a very bad Nevada team. Like I said, very bad. I couldn't believe when I was looking at it. Their one win in the Mountain West came against San Jose State. They won 2-1. They almost beat Fresno in 2 overtimes, but besides that, they've lost 5-1, 4-0, 5-0, 4-0, 4-0, 5-1.
Good Lord.
Hopefully women's can finish with 10 wins, like I said.
That is nuts. Well, that is this Saturday, I believe.
Friday.
Okay.
Friday night.
We close out their season at Reno, I believe.
Yes.
And hopefully you get to 10 wins, because this will be a successful first season for Chris Shaw.
Absolutely.
This will be a successful season.
By the way,
Yeah.
UNLV men's soccer, first team out of the top 25 again this week.
So 26.
Receiving the most votes.
Okay, so pretty much you win these 2 this weekend, you're probably in the top 25 at conference start.
They wouldn't match their last season's total. Last year they finished at 10-8-3 and 5-5 in the conference. So
Women's soccer.
yeah. So it's pretty identical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We had no tournament for them this year,
Yep.
which is kind of bad.
I did look again, men's soccer, real quick at Syracuse's record. They are 13-2-1. UNLV's 12-3-1. So the records are basically just flipped. UNLV has one more loss, and Syracuse has one more win. Both have one draw. So if you lead the nation in wins,
You should get some love.
Yeah.
You should get some love among the voters. Before we get out of here, guys, I do want to make a quick note about volleyball. Big set of games coming up this week, and we've talked about before. Wyoming and Colorado State this weekend. Wyoming is tonight, actually, on tonight, and Colorado State is on Saturday.
That's the big one.
The big one. And because if you look at the standings for volleyball, Colorado State has played one more game than UNLV, so I presume Colorado State might get. I haven't checked Colorado State's schedule. Colorado State is probably going to get one game off this week. There's probably their one game off later on. But UNLV has played one game less than Colorado State. So big weekend coming up for UNLV to kind of close the gap between them and Colorado State, because right now it is a 3-team conference race between UNLV, Wyoming, and Colorado State. So UNLV especially losing on the road, UNLV kind of needs to beat Wyoming, kind of set the stage for that showdown against Colorado State.
Congratulations to Darren Glenn as well.
Yeah, 1,000 blocks, 1,000 kills,
1,000 kills.
1,000 kills,
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere around the ballpark. All we know is she did 1,000.
First player in UNLV history.
Yeah, and that says a lot, because UNLV has had a lot of great people playing at the net over the last few years. So for her to be the first one, that says a lot. But Wyoming game tonight at 6 o'clock, and then Saturday, Colorado State, 7 o'clock at the Cotts Pavilion. That's the big one. And people always come out for that game. Last year for that game, that went to 5 sets, UNLV narrowly lost. It's probably the biggest crowd they've had in the pavilion for volleyball in the last few years. They come out for that game. So big weekend. Come support your volleyball team. Huge weekend coming up. Kind of close the gap in the Mountain West, and they need every win they can get. And Colorado State has not lost in conference, I think, in the last 2 years. So kind of need something here. But that's going to do it for us, guys. Actually, this one a lot shorter than I thought it would. Holy mackerel. I think we went about 40 minutes, which is probably our shortest one this year. But thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for watching on our YouTube page. Make sure you check out our Facebook page for any other video content. I believe Iggy Azalea is making an appearance at UNLV this weekend.
Yeah.
Not much.
Joy.
Not me. Randy only wants to see Swaggy P. That's pretty much all they want. But yeah, a lot of things going on. Make sure you check our Facebook page. Make sure you check out our YouTube page for all things coming up later this week. And we will see you next week. For Jesse and for Jordan and for Randy, I'm Danny. See you guys next week.